Good afternoon. My name is Amarjit Dasmodak. I am from Bakula, West Bengal. Recently, I am doing MSc in microbiology and immunology from University of Hyderabad. Today, I am going to tell about the blood coagulation. What is blood coagulation? Blood coagulation is a process in which to prevent the excessive blood loss. Okay, so what is the basic? What is why excessive blood is occur? From the injury. When injury occur, excessive blood or blood bleeding is occur. So when injury occurs, there is a platelet, blood cells, platelets come and form the temporary blood clot. Blood clot. And this temporary blood clot, some blood clotting factor come and form permanent blood clot. This is the basic scenario of blood coagulation. Now I am going to deep about the blood coagulation. So I mention here the clotting factors. So firstly we should know what is the clotting factor. Clotting factors are the protein which is inactivated in blood, which is inactivated in blood, and and most of them are synthesized by the liver cells. Okay, so blood clotting factors is inactivated protein present in blood and synthesized from the hepatocyte cells or liver cell and in liver. And these clotting factors also, some of them, not all, some of them formed by the platelets, by the action of the platelets. Okay, so there are 13 clotting factor, 12 clotting factor present in blood. So to remember the name of the 12 clotting factor, there is a mantra which I learned during my preparation from my teacher. So what is the mantra? Mantra is freshers, party, tonight, come on, let's sing, and call seniors, please have fun. This is the mantra to remember the name of the blood clotting factors, and to write the name of the blood clotting factor we use the Roman number. Okay, don't forget, this is very important to use the Roman number. One blood clotting factor 1 is fibrinogen. This is second, party for freshers for fibrinogen, party for prothrombin. Tonight for clotting factor 3, it is thromboplastin. Come on for clotting factor 4, which is a ion, calcium. Let's for clotting factor 5, which is labial or proaxillary, labial clotting factor. And there is no 6 clotting factor from there is no 6 clotting factor, so it is clotting factor 7. From 5 there to clotting factor 7, it is stable or prothrombin. Sorry, no prothrombin. Prothrombin is clotting factor 2. This is stable clotting factor. And for clotting factor 8, which is anti-hemophilic factor A, it is very important clotting factor, I will tell later. Call for clotting factor 9, which is anti-hemophilic factor B or Christmas factor, CHR, Christmas factor. Then clotting factor 10, seniors for clotting factor 10, which is Stewart factor. Clotting factor 11, which is plasma thromboplastin, plasma thromboplastin. Okay, have for 12, which is Hedgeman factor. 12, which is Hedgeman factor. And last but not the least, clotting factor 13, which is fibrinase. These are the different 12 clotting factor which is involved in the blood coagulation, and their functions are very important in blood clotting. Okay, now there is two type of mechanism or two type of pathway by which blood coagulations occur. It is, one is intrinsic and another is extrinsic pathway. Extrinsic pathway. When these two different types of pathway occurs, in extrinsic pathway means inside. Okay, when it happen, when blood vessels, we know blood vessel, when intrinsic pathway occurs when blood vessels break. When we all know that the blood vessels is formed by endothelial cell, which is a connective tissue. Okay, which is a connective tissue, and this connective tissue composed of collagen fiber. What is the collagen fiber? When this collagen fiber is exposed, when this collagen fiber is breakage of this collagen fiber, this breakage or this signal, breaking signal is carried forward by two proteins present in the blood, which is high molecular weight kininogen, high molecular weight kininogen plus another one is kallikrein. These two proteins carry this breaking signal to the clotting factor. Which clotting factor? Clotting factor 12. Hedgeman clotting factor. In intrinsic pathway, the first clotting factor which is activated by this breaking signal is clotting factor 12. This inactivated clotting factor is activated by this signal. Activated, and this clotting factor 12, active clotting factor 12 activate clotting factor 11. This clotting factor 11 active, clotting factor 11 active, clotting factor 9. And active clotting factor further activate clotting factor 10. Clotting factor 10. By the help of which factor? Clotting factor. By the help of which factor? It is clotting factor 4 Ca plus 2 and clotting factor 8 calcium ion, and clotting factor 4. By the help of calcium ion, clotting factor 4, the clotting factor 10 activated. Okay, here I stop the intrinsic pathway. Now I jump to the extrinsic pathway. Why? I tell later. Extrinsic pathway occurs when vascular tissue damage. When vascular tissue damage. This damage release some tissue thromboplastin factor. Tissue thromboplastin factor, and this is the signal to call this clotting factor to start the extrinsic pathway. Which clotting factor come? Clotting factor 7. Inactive clotting factor 7 activated by this signal, and this inactive clotting factor 7 further activate clotting factor 10. Inactive further active clotting factor with the help of Ca plus 2, clotting factor 4, and tissue thromboplastin factor. These two are helping clotting factor 10 to activate. And from this, extrinsic and intrinsic pathway carry or doing the same function. Now, clotting factor 10, what clotting factor 10 activated, clotting factor 10 activate prothrombin, activate prothrombin to thrombin. Prothrombin is a clotting factor 2, we know. Clotting factor 2 is activate to the thrombin, and these thrombin activate fibrinogen, which is the clotting factor, first clotting factor fibrinogen, which activate fibrinogen activate by prothrombin to fibrin, and this fibrin is the main clotting factor to blood coagulation, in blood coagulation. And this fibrin, and the stabilization of fibrin is occurs by the another clotting factor, which is clotting factor 13, which is fibrinase. And stabilization of fibrin occurs, stabilization of fibrin, okay, by the help of clotting factor 13 activated, and this activation occurs by the thrombin. This activation occurs by the thrombin. So this is the process, this is the main process of extrinsic and intrinsic pathway carried by the different types of clotting factor, and by this blood coagulation is occurred. Okay, though there I now tell I something important point about the clotting factor 8, clotting factor CF, clotting factor 8 and clotting factor 9 both are anti-hemophilic clotting factor. It is a classical clotting factor, classical hemophilia, and it is also a clotting hemophilia. Okay, by the deficiency of clotting factor 8, deficiency of clotting factor 8, deficiency of clotting factor is, it leads to the formation of hemophilia, which is a disease where blood unable to clot properly, or there is no blood clotting actually, hemophilia. And it is same in clotting factor 9. It is also known as clotting factor anti-hemophilic factor B. It is also known as anti-hemophilic factor B. And this clotting factor 9, the disease, deficiency of this clotting factor 9, the disease will occur. It is Christmas disease. So this is about the clotting factor. The deficiency of clotting factor which leads to the formation of the disease is hemophilia and Christmas disease. Another protein which is bind to this clotting factor 8 is very important. It is VWA. Full form is von Willebrand factor. It is bind to the clotting factor 8. Okay, when the deficiency of this clotting factor, this protein, it also leads to the formation of hemophilia. Hemophilia. So this is all about the blood coagulation and the deficiency of the different clotting factor which cause the formation of hemophilia. So this is the basic injury occurs, platelets come, temporary blood clot, clotting factor comes, then permanent blood clotting, then different types of fibrinogen, fressors for, this is the mantra, fressors for fibrinogen, different types of clotting factor. This is the mantra to remember the name of the clotting factor. This is the fressors for fibrinogen, party for prothrombin, tonight for thromboplastin, CAM for calcium ion, LEDs for labial factor, SYNC for stable factor, and for antihemophilic A factor, call for antihemophilic B factor, seniors for Stewart factor, please for plasma thromboplastin, HEP for Heisman factor, and FUN for fibrinase. and this is the intrinsic pathway. Intrinsic pathway, the first clotting factor is involved, it is clotting factor 12. In the extrinsic pathway, the first clotting involved in the clotting factor 10, and the common is clotting factor 10. Sorry, first in extrinsic is clotting factor 7, and the common is clotting factor 10. Oh, this is the all about the clotting factor, I mean blood coagulation. And a question is regularly come in different types of exam is the what is the in blood when which calcium ion is when blood is not clot in the deficiency of which ion? This answer is calcium ion, and the clotting factor 4. Okay, this is all about the clotting blood coagulation, and thank you.
ठीक तो हो गया 16 मिनट हो गया
बंद कर दिया
नहीं हो गया